No deeply replayable campaign. No talent trees. No dedicated hero mode. No long-term power progression, and no large playable campaign. These are the features of Overwatch 2 PvE. You're about to be quite disappointed with what I'm about to explain here, guys. I'm disappointed. I'm heavily disappointed at this. This is Blizzard just saying, look, we're not going to deliver on the PvE which we've shown off for a number of years now. Things like the talent systems, the hero progression, this idea of these massive long story arcs that we're going to go on. And, you know, I had this vision of sitting down and playing through like a 10, 15, 20-hour Overwatch campaign. That would be awesome. And I get to progress my character that I've selected, all these different ways of, you know, increasing in power, leveling up my character, all this stuff. But that's just not happening. The TLDR, guys, before we get any further into this video, is essentially this. PvE is going to be little episodic missions that are tied into a battle pass. Now, Blizzard are not saying if you have to buy the battle pass to get access to the missions. I would imagine that you do, because I think everything they're trying to do with the game is to increase battle pass sales, which probably does say maybe skins are not so hot in terms of monetization in the game, but the battle passes are. Remember, we've already been conditioned to buy the battle pass for heroes, and I think my sort of speculation here would be, in those seasons where we don't have a hero, it would be a good idea to have something else that would make people buy the battle pass. And that something else could be a story mission, which is only playable during that season. So you've got the FOMO there, which again, I think is bollocks, but that's probably what's going to happen. And then there'll be certain challenges and rewards tied into that. That's the world we're going into. PvE in Overwatch 2 will not be a massive campaign that gets launched. You will not have hero talents. It won't be replayable. You just literally will get missions when they come out tied into a battle pass. Again, it's not been confirmed if you have to buy the battle pass to get access to these, but I would presume you do. Anyway, let's take a look at the roadmap they've released, because this gives us a bit more information as to what's going on. So where I'm getting my information from that I've just covered comes actually from the dev chat, which is now available on YouTube and I think on Twitch on the Overwatch channels. It's basically just Aaron and Jared, who is the executive producer, talking to Mr. X from Overwatch League about the reasons why they've decided not to go forward with PvE in the current state. And I will just kind of go over these to save you guys watching that video. But basically, this is kind of what they say. So PvE is going to be episodic. Hero missions are scrapped. If you guys remember what those were, they were sort of replayable missions on existing maps in the Overwatch world. They're no longer a thing. They're just gone. There's no hero talents. They're just gone. They may come back in the future, but will be in a very limited kind of form. In 2019, basically the plan was to go for a very deep, fully replayable PvE experience. But that's no longer the plan because there's no end date in sight. So they've decided to change strategy, and they've released Overwatch 2 with new heroes and maps and new modes and seasonal updates. So that was the PvP portion they're basically talking about. So they've shifted values. This is how they sort of package it up. And they're no longer going to store content for a big release. They're basically going to prioritize the live game we've got now and seasonal updates. So they're just going to shove whatever is finished into the seasonal battle pass model instead of waiting for a big launch. This does make me wonder what's actually going to happen at BlizzCon, because what you guys can see the roadmap behind me, but like this is like you would have thought that the PvE would be saved for BlizzCon. So maybe they've got something else. I don't know, or maybe they just don't have anything, which would be kind of weird. They also said that PvE didn't really make progress. It took a long time to develop. Missions, enemies, and crazy hero talents, they were all kind of cool, but with no end in sight. They made a difficult decision to just say, we can't deliver on this, so there'll be no talent trees, there'll be no player power progression, and yeah, they said it was a difficult decision to come to, and that's the situation they find themselves in right now. Okay, let's take a look at this roadmap that we've got. So, Season 5, there will be a new limited time event, and I think what's happened is limited time events are sort of like the non-canon events. They're just kind of like the Star Watch that we've got at the moment. Think of that kind of caliber of event. I think that's what we're just going to get moving forward. That'll go into the game as a new limited time non-canon mode. Basically means it's just not part of the Overwatch story. So in Season 5, we've got this Magic and Mischief. I don't have any details about that. There was no details given by Blizzard, but it looks kind of fun. Looks like a sort of whimsical fantasy kind of thing. So it'll be interesting to see what they do with that. again, these events are basically vehicles for skin sales. It's like there'll be a bunch of heroes, a lot of fantasy skins, they'll be thrown into this mode, and then yada, yada, yada. There'll be a cinematic reveal. Now, again, we don't know what this is. It might be the Sojin cinematic. Apologies, but, we're not sure. Then there will be the Overwatch Summer Games will come back. And there'll also be a 5v5 mini comp season. Now, what that is a 5-stack. So, obviously, Overwatch is 5v5 at the moment. Anyway, but this is a full team competitive mode. So, you have to have 5 players in a group before you can even queue for this mode. So, that could be quite cool. Creator workshop mode. I don't know anything about this. I don't know if this is a creator from the workshop have done this, or it's some sort of change to the workshop mode. Again, I don't know. And On Fire returns, which is I find pretty funny that it's listed as a feature, but I know a lot of people were like, where the hell is On Fire? And Blizzard's explanation for that was essentially On Fire is doesn't work in Overwatch 2 because we had to rebuild it, rebuild the engine and all of that stuff. So anyway, that's Season 5. It seems pretty limp in terms of stuff, really, Season 5. But then this is where things start to heat up. And also, I say heat up. I am disappointed by this. Like, PvE, I thought would be the big splash that puts Overwatch 2 back on the map. But I don't think this is going to put anything on the map. This is just literally plugging little bits of content into the Battle Pass. That might bring people back to check it out. But without that critical replayability of that component, I don't know why. Because, listen, guys, in my head, I had this division of players, right? You've got competitive players, you've got quick play players, and then you've got PvE players. This new branch, this fertile ground that Blizzard are going into. And again, they've got a rich history of this. Look at World of Warcraft, right? A lot of the World of Warcraft devs were involved in Overwatch 2, so I'm sure that's what they wanted to build. I'm not talking like an MMO, but like a fully fledged, another way of playing the game, right? So I could just be a PvE Overwatch player, and I could just ignore all of the PvP and whatnot. That's no longer the case, because essentially the game is the PvP game we've got now, and there'll just be these little mini missions that you can run every other season, it looks like, which might be okay for an hour or so of gameplay. Again, I've not seen the length of these missions. I can only base it on what we've played so far, and they've been very short. I mean, I'll hand over heart tell you I've played through Star Watch twice. No, maybe 3 times, actually. 3 games of Star Watch, and I won't touch that again. It's boring. Anyway, it's very shallow. It's not boring, it's shallow, I'll say that. You get a little bit out of it, but there's no point of going back. And what I'm really worried about is Blizzard are just... They constantly say they're not going for replayability here. They just are going to give you a new experience you can experience, and then there'll be another one, and then another one, and then another one. Anyway, Season 6 roadmap. So, story missions, right? Again, we don't know what this is, but it's just that the story missions are coming back in Season 6. And a new support hero, right? So this is crucial. So a story mission and a support hero in the same season. So my thing of going, are they going to go hero, story mission, hero, story mission? They still might, because this might just be a big, like, wow, we're just going to throw everything into this season to try and make it almost like a mini launch of the game. Again, this is not going to have anywhere near the impact it would have if it was a massive, fully fledged campaign, right? And that would draw other people in. Maybe people that play games like Borderlands and Destiny and whatever, they would come and play instead of just being the people who enjoy PvP, which is what all of we are. Just seems like a missed opportunity. Anyway, Flashpoint. Now, Flashpoint is the new core game mode. This will be a new game mode in quick play and in competitive. Again, I don't know anything about this, but this will feature a whole host of maps. I'd imagine it would come with 3 maps. I'll be surprised if it comes with any less than 3, because generally every... game mode, I think, has launched with 3. It didn't push launch with 3. I think it did. Yeah, Colosseo, Esperanza, and New Queen Street, everyone's favourite map. Then there is also these little funny things, right, called Hero Mastery. Now, what these are sort of little mini hero challenges. I believe there's a similar system to this in World of Warcraft, or there was a few years ago. A lot of other games have got this system where you basically do very essentially basic tasks with a hero, and how fast you do them, you get a better score, because you obviously timed for this. There could be various things like, I don't know, let's say Mercy, for example. You have to heal 3 or 4 bots and keep them alive against damage, but maybe there's a 5th bot, and if you can somehow keep all 5 alive, by doing really good triage healing, then you get some sort of reward for that. It's also like a little... I think they're like little labyrinths or something that you sort of play through, kind of like a surf map maybe from Counter-Strike. But these, to me, at least based off this little image we can see, very much look like they are very low effort. Okay, not low effort. I don't want to say low effort. I'm not trying to drag people here, but not very time consuming to produce. I think that's a better way of putting it. So they've basically put a map together. They don't bother with any textures or anything on the map, and they don't go for any of the art. And then they just put some sort of hero task into it. I think that's meant to be their answer to the hero missions, which of course are no longer a thing. And it's their answer to some sort of replayability, because the challenge would be trying to get the highest score in these modes. And I believe these are for every hero as well. So again, this just... it just feels like some sort of glorified workshop mode, which I don't know whether these are going to hold people's interest, but I don't know. Which seems to be the problem with this game. Like, it doesn't have the ability to hold people's interest very long, which is maddening to me. Anyway, firing range is also a new thing. Now, this is as far as I'm aware, it is a upgrade to the training range, or the practice range, where you can basically shoot a bunch of floating objects and stuff like that. So think aim, trainer, workshop modes. I think it's going to be similar to that. Could also be similar to things like Valorant's practice range thing. You know, you've got the flying drones and where you can change the speed at which bots spawn and all of that stuff. There is a player progression system. This, I think, is just along the lines of, if you have played, I don't know, let's say competitive, you've got like a sort of mini level bar for competitive to say, hey, this player is a competitive player more than a quick play. And it probably applies to things like your role. So if you play loads of tank, you can level up your tank level. And I think that's what it is. Not a count level. Think of this like a mode level. I think that's what they're going for there. So that's decent, right? There's also going to be a lore codex thing, which is going to be this sort of database with lore about the game actually in the game. And I can't wait to see this. I think this is pretty cool. I think there'll be challenges and stuff tied to this. So complete a certain challenge on a hero, unlocks a lore, or a bit of lore tidbit maybe, or something about that hero. Could be quite cool. Again, you know, that gives you more reason to keep playing. So I'm a fan of that. Sombra rework, again, I've got no idea what that is, but whatever. And more. Then they also go on to say Season 7, so, and beyond. So they've got new tank hero, a new collaboration event, which is a limited time mode. So think One Punch Man, but there's just going to be another version of that. There is a new winter event, a new hero mastery missions, which will be multiplayer. So it looks like they're going to take the single player hero masteries and then make them multiplayer, or maybe give you a different way to do them. Roadhog rework, fan favorite modes return, cinematic debuts, and competitive mystery heroes returns. So that's what we've got for the grand Overwatch 2 PvE announcement, I guess. That's what it is today. And you can probably tell by the fact I'm sitting here just going, nah. Like, I'll give you guys my honest opinion of this. I just think all they're doing is they're just trying to beef up the battle pass with what it offers. They're just trying to add more and more and more and more into this to get more people to buy the battle pass. Maybe it's a bit naive of me to think, given the way that they launched this game, that they would give us this sort of, you know, maybe we could just, for 15, well, it wouldn't be 15, it'll be like $59.99, $60, whatever a box price of a game is these days. And you buy that and it's got this massive, meaty Overwatch 2, like, PvE missions in it or something like that, right? That's never going to happen because they've moved to a free-to-play model. And it's obvious that they're looking at their metrics and seeing that they're making a lot of money off the battle pass probably. And so they just want to bulk this out. And what they've got, what they've been working on for a while is PvE. And they've got all these different bits of PvE. And it looks like they're just going to cobble it together and chuck them into the battle pass whenever they're ready. And that's a way of them making the seasons more, you know, adding more FOMO to the season to make you actually buy the battle pass, because not only do you need to buy it to get the hero, you also need to buy it to get the story mission. And if you've already done a few of these story missions, and I'd imagine they carry on, I can't see them just being completely random. If they are, I'll be even more disappointed. But you would imagine that, like, whatever the first one is, the next one leads onto it and the next one leads onto it. Now, of course, there's the whole thing of like Blizzard cinematics as well. I'm sure there'll be cinematics inside these story missions. There'll probably be more cinematics coming just anyway for Overwatch because we need more. You've got to remember as well, in the past, we used to live in a world where when a new hero was launched, we got a fully fledged cinematic for that hero. I've got a sneaking suspicion that the reason we didn't get one for Ramatra is because his was like integral to the campaign. And the campaign isn't a thing anymore, but we may see this pop up as a story mission sort of intro. And I think that's why we just didn't get any kind of like full on Pixar Blizzard style animated short for that. And of course, the Sojourn one is probably the same. Sojourn's just added to the game, but her cinematic, they don't know what to do with it, blah, blah, blah. But we're going to see that, I think, in Season 5. Yeah, I think that's where we are right now. This is Overwatch 2's PvE. I want you guys to let me know what you think about this in the comments below. As I've been saying throughout this video, you can probably tell I'm quite disappointed by this because I just think what really pisses me off with Overwatch, I look at this IP, and yeah, I know I'm an Overwatch YouTuber for all intents and purposes. I've made thousands of videos on it, but I look at it and I'm like, there is so much here, right? There is so much that could be done. And I just I feel like they just keep missing the mark over and over again. Like it's not quite there, just isn't enough. Oh, we need to cut back on this. We need to do that. We haven't really done this. And it's getting boring. It really is getting boring, like seeing that coming out. So I don't know. But the fact is, guys, this is what we're going to get for the next couple of seasons. The big question I'm going to throw over to you guys is, do you think this is enough? Do you think this is legitimately, I should say, enough to make people come back? Because I'm worried that, you know, so here's the thing, right? I'm also quite aware that, and I can tell this through statistics on my YouTube channel. So it's not like I need some sort of covert access to Blizzard to work this out. And you guys can probably tell this as well. Because if you just look at your group of friends, when there's an Overwatch new season comes out, I'm sure that you might go, hey, let's just check the season out, maybe play it for a day, and then you just never return. That's what happens on YouTube as well. You get a bunch of views when there's a new season, when there's a new hero, when there's a new like balance update. And then in between, it's kind of like, well, people, why would they keep playing this game? And that's a big problem, right? You know, you've got things like, why would people play competitive? It's in a state anyway, competitive. It seems bloody random. I hardly play competitive anymore. I used to grind competitive in Overwatch 1. I don't even care in Overwatch 2. But I should do because it's the same thing. You know what I mean? But no, because it's different. Because the way it's been implemented just isn't quite right. Just isn't enough there. You know, the only thing that is in the game progression-wise is the Battle Pass. And I'll tell you guys right now, I have not completed all the Battle Passes. The Junker Queen season, I just couldn't be bothered to. I just literally couldn't be bothered to finish the Battle Pass. What does that tell you? You know what I mean? Although I think I have finished the one for Season 4. So I have played quite a bit in Season 4 already, but I don't know. All right, guys, that's Overwatch 2 PvE. Let me know what you think about this in the comments below. And hopefully when we get our hands on these missions, they're actually longer than 20 minutes and not just some sort of like mess around for 15, 20 minutes and then there's no reason to play them again. And also, it would be nice to play them outside of the season they're in. But I'm pretty sure they won't do that because the whole point of them, I think, is to make you go, oh, God, I really need to buy the Battle Pass. But I hope I'm wrong. All right, guys, thank you for listening and watching the video. I've been Stylosa. Do leave a comment below, subscribe to the channel, like the video, and I will catch you lovely lot on the next one. See you soon.